welcome to another edition of Beer for Breakfast ABV. I am Danielle from The Moke Show on 91X. As always, I've got my beer drinking partner in crime with me, Paul Segura from
Aloha.
Karl Strauss. We're still recovering from the triple IPA throwdown that happened at Hamilton's. But you know, this is why we're beer drinking partners in crime.
Yes.
I could never have done that without you.
Likewise. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
And today, we are welcoming Mark. Mark is the founder and then some of Papa Marce's Cerveceria. How's it going?
Fantastic. Thank
Welcome
you for having
to Beer
me.
for
Yeah.
Breakfast.
Thanks for coming on.
So, you guys are up in Carlsbad.
Yes.
How long have you been open for?
We just hit the 6-month mark. So we're still whippersnappers in the industry right now, but a few of us have been in the industry for a little while. Personally, I'm about 25, almost 26 years in the industry.
Oh, wow. What were you doing before you opened your own?
Well, actually, most recently, I had a consulting company.
Oh,
so I was
nice.
consulting for a few breweries. A couple of them were Mad River, and one was Fig Mountain. So I helped them get their 6-pack can release going. And
Those are two very mature, very well-doing breweries.
absolutely, I still got a great relationship with Jamie, with Dietenheifer up there. So there's a few things, just relationships I've had over the years. And
Nice.
actually, you and I were under the same building. The first brewery I worked for was Karl Strauss
There you go.
in the mid-90s.
I did not know this.
Yes,
Really?
sir. Yes, sir.
And what did you do with Strauss?
Sales.
Really?
Yeah.
There you
So
go.
I helped, at the time, it was opening North County.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So it was still very early. So I helped do that and some South Inland Empire. And in the beginning of going to Orange County.
Yeah, okay.
That's so exciting, especially, you know, Strauss just hit 30 years, and it's
Yeah.
so cool every time somebody comes through here, and, you know, they're like, oh, like, I got my start at Strauss, or very early I was with Strauss, so
So I don't get to know everybody
because
because we employ like 1,000 people. but-
Exactly. So a cheers ahead and on to Uncle
Cheers.
Carl.
Yes.
So this is our Papa Shaka Mexican lager. Extremely light.
Smells delicious.
We actually wanted to do a little, you know, we're so close to the border, and this was kind of a cornerstone thought that I had in our brewery, on top of putting the cerveceria on there, because not really anybody in town has done that aspect on it. That is my heritage. I'm 100% Mexican, so we wanted to do that aspect. So there's some flake corn in there,
Yeah.
and the hop that we use is a Zaka, so it gives a
Okay,
nice
interesting.
crisp finish on that tail
Yeah.
end.
So you can't really pick out the Azaka. Like, it's definitely got a nice bitterness that balances out the maltiness and the corn. You taste everything.
Mm-hmm.
This has a sort of especial like
Oh,
taste.
yeah.
Is that kind of what you were going after?
That was the inspiration was kind of between Pacifico and Modelo Especial. And
You definitely got it. And then look at the clarity also.
Yeah, it's
That is
beautiful.
a beautiful beer.
What kind of filter do you run this through?
no filter.
No filter. All findings. Wow.
My head brewer is Grant Hoyer, and clearly he does a phenomenal job
Yes.
on what he does. So, and the funny thing is, he wasn't super familiar with Mexican beers at the time, so I had to educate him.
Yeah.
And we had to do some R&D with
Yeah.
as many Mexican lagers as we can get our hands on. But
Right.
this was 100% my inspiration that I wanted to do flavor profile wise, and he hit the nail on the head.
I think this is an amazing crossover beer. If you have someone who's not super into craft beer, you know, doesn't like the bitterness, the hoppiness,
Right.
but enjoys themselves just like a nice, clean, lighter beer, I'd be like,
Right.
try this.
It's a good door
100%.
opener. Yeah.
Exactly.
Stepping stone beers, like we call them a lot of different things.
Exactly, the bridge, you know, bridging the
Right,
gap,
yeah.
and you know all that. So
Right.
this is 100% done that up in Carlsbad especially too. So, and it kind of I think I kind of helped push a couple of our neighbors up there. We just had that a Michelada Royal last weekend at Pizza
Yes.
Port in Bresci
Yeah.
Ranch, and was able to invite some friends around town. So we had South Norte there. There was the Three Punks came out from Chula. Virgin
Yeah.
had theirs.
Yeah.
Artifacts had their lager as well, and then Pizza Port had just recently rolled one out. So
You guys all do the tahini on the rim and everything.
it was
do
all
it right.
the combo. So we all had we were able to partner. So Papa Marce's, we partnered with Cutwater Spirits. So
Another
we actually
fine local establishment.
fine local.
Yeah.
And
that
we
Bloody
have their
Mary
Bloody
mix
Mary.
is the best.
There couldn't be anything better to mix together with a beer. So we actually use that. We do the tahini on the rim. We have chamoy and tahini. So we
Yeah.
do the real
Very
Baja
nice.
style. So
So I can come into the tasting room at any time and get a michelada made with this beer, with the Cutwater Bloody Mix, with the tahini, the whole thing.
any day of the week,
So
7 days
Three
a week.
Punk does a special on like Mondays, every Monday. Do you do the same thing? Do
I
you run it on, or you just have it on always on?
Every
7
day.
days a week. It's on special. So that is turned into one of the cornerstones. We actually the way that I kicked it off is we kicked it off on Mexican Independence Day, so 16 de septiembre. We had just opened. We weren't even, barely open a month. And my thought process on that happened to fall on a Sunday, so I'm like, let's do menudo and let's do micheladas.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking my language
Sounds
right
so
now.
good.
It was, we were packed all day. Couldn't have enough of everything. And it literally turned into, that next Monday, I'm like, maybe we'll just do Sundays as micheladas.
Yeah.
Next day, we had a group that came in going, we will pay double for micheladas tonight if we can have them. And it just turned into a 7-day-a-weeker.
So how do you, I've had this conversation with some of the other breweries who, talk about wanting to do micheladas regularly, but, the glassware issue, things get dirty, how do you guys combat basically little pieces of tahini being on the rest of your glassware?
Right. So basically we have like a spare tub that we have a little warm water in already, so we got to do the pre-rinse before we get going through anything else. So it's just the thought process had to go a little bit deeper and just be smarter than the beer.
Yeah, I like that. Smarter than the beer.
I dig that you're doing this, and I dig that you've got this, stepping stone beer. I can't, it's so smart to do that. And don't we always say, like, the first thing you do when you go into brewery is try like their Pilsner-esque style beer to find out how good they are at making the stuff. So I can tell Grant's got game, man.
He very much
He does
so.
this beer well.
Very well.
And is Grant who I met when I was there last month with the dog? Is that who Grant is?
No, that's actually my beer tender, Ryan.
Okay.
So
there's a beer tender named Ryan who works there, who has the raddest dog ever. If you are into beer dogs, this is the coolest dog.
You got to go visit Milo. Milo is there, I'd say
So
Monday
sweet.
through Wednesday at least, and a couple of weekend nights. So it rotates out, but Milo is our brew dog.
Any place that has a brew dog, I thoroughly appreciate it as a patron because I love dogs. So moving over, this is a beer that is no stranger to beer for breakfast, but it's a little different. So this is your guys' Resilience IPA. If you remember, Sierra Nevada did their Resilience release, and it was going to the Campfire Fund, and a bunch of breweries across the country got in on it, and they made their own version. So this is your guys', but you did a little bit of a change on it.
A little bit of a twist. So we had the original recipe, and the day that Grant and I got that, we looked at it, sat down, we're having a beer, and took a look at it, and we're like, wow, this is a great early 90s beer.
Very Sierra Nevada.
Very Sierra Nevada-esque. Love Sierra Nevada. That was, one of my first breweries that I really got into was a pale ale, like a lot of other people around here. So we just sat back and decided, let's modernize it just a hair, and we modernized it quite a bit, and ended up we made a rye IPA. So we wanted to still get a little bit of that same color, and that rye is going to bring that out, and then decided to go a little crazy with some hops on there. So a little mosaic in there, a little cashmere.
Cashmere, okay, interesting. This has a really sturdy, like toasty malt side. You get that pungent flavor from the rye as well, kind of coming in late. And then the hops just kind of take over.
Take over at the end.
Yeah. It's good, though.
Wow.
I like it.
So it was just a good, fun beer to make, but more so, it was even better for the cause. So that's
absolutely.
one of my business partners, Dan, actually grew up in Chico. So he was born and raised in Chico. So when all this was happening, we were literally watching it the weekend the fires were going.
Yeah, it was
Because
scary.
his family still lives up there. He ended up having, came out to 29 of his friends and families lost everything.
Oh my
Right.
gosh.
So it was horrible to watch as it was going, but as this popped up, luckily I was on an email strain from working with a couple other breweries over the years that I got the email immediately when it came through.
Yeah.
And we were hanging out at the brewery and I saw it and I go, I'm gonna mark us yes for this, immediately.
Awesome.
So we
Yeah.
did it. It wasn't even a major thought process or going, let's sit down and talk about it.
Right.
It was like, we have to do it. So
That's amazing.
It's really cool the way the whole beer community came together and brewed that beer. Like, I think it exceeded everybody's expectations, including
sure.
Sierra Nevada's. I think they thought it would be cool if a few hundred breweries got on board, and it way exceeded that.
And especially living in a part of the country that,
Right.
we go through the same thing. We have the same potential. I know that we've pseudo forgotten with all of this crazy rain that we're having, but now that's an additional thing that these people are dealing with is mudslides.
there's the mudslides now.
It's, with all the
Yeah.
vegetation gone, I
watershed's gone.
cannot imagine what these people are going through. So it's super great when breweries come together to help the community, and you guys made a fine version of resilience.
Yeah, cheers to that, man.
Yes.
Thank you. Salud.
So what else with Papa Marce's? We're 6 months in.
Yes.
Yeah.
6 months in, and actually sours are kind of a secondary cornerstone for us in-house. So we do have a barrel program going, and that kind of segues us very nicely into this
Already
last
after
beer we
6
had.
months, you're going into that.
This is the first
You're
beer
not wasting
we brewed.
time.
This is the first
This
beer
is the
we
very
brewed.
first one. All
So
right,
it was
cool.
a golden sour base, and it is barrel aged and fermented
Awesome.
on Brett. So we filled up barrels, and Grant is more patient than me. Luckily, we had a secondary facility when all this was going on in the very early stages, so we had this off-site and just left it alone.
So are you getting like bourbon barrels from people, or
Well, we actually are using a broker from Chico, is the funny
no
thing.
kidding.
So tying
you're
that
getting
all
first
back
gen.
in. So we got first gen. So this was like the majority of tequila barrels. It was a bourbon barrel, so it was a Jack Daniel's barrel, refired, filled with añejo. So this beer, there's some fun complexity going on. So you give it a try. The front end, you're going to get nutty bourbon note, and finishes with tequila.
Oh wow! There's all
You're
kinds
right.
of crazy stuff going on my tongue right now.
So I was trying to, like, when you said that, I'm like, I'm at a loss for words. I don't know how to even think about that right now. But then I tasted it, and it's exactly as you say. The tequila kind of finishes late, and there's like a citrusy, tangy, tart finish. But up front, you get the bourbon and the oak and a lot of that.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of strange. I mean, it's...
It is quite the crazy science that Grant has done this beer prior. He was with Relentless Refuge Aspect up in Temecula.
Yeah.
And he had done a couple of beers similar to this, and he was like, I know what to do to get it right.
What a great way to start out your sour series.
Absolutely.
It's funny because I know anybody who's watching this right now who knows me knows that I am not a sours person, and they're laughing right now because they're just like, Danielle to drink a sour. But no, this is not doing what sours do to me that I don't like. It's not hitting me right here, like right off the bat.
Right, it's not getting those salivary glands
No.
working overtime right now. It's a very balanced
It really is.
sour.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not face-puckeringly bitter, sour, tart. You get it, though.
Like at the very beginning.
But you
doesn't
get it
stick
in
around.
harmony with the rest of the flavors that are going on.
It plays
like a
very
symphony
well.
going
Absolutely, and it
You
plays
and
very
Grant
well.
are mad scientists. I'm all for it. I can't wait to see what else you guys come out with.
Oh, there's a few other crazy things going in some barrels right now that are going to be coming in the next few months. One beer that has turned into, we did that up early on. We call it She's a Jam Eater. So it's an Imperial Red
like it.
Sour, a little bit higher
Yeah.
in ABV. It's sitting about 10.4%. And we had blackberries and black currants that it was sitting on. It's inside. We just blended it. So it's sitting on fruit right now, and it should be done. I'm hoping in the next
Was it
week.
blended because it was too sour or too much oaky? Or
Well,
all
it
of
was
the
a
above?
combination of well, it was more so that flavor profile. We have the base beer, so we just call it Big Red Sour.
All right.
It is still on the board because there's a lot of people that love that base because of that oakiness. We were able to get Coppola Winery barrels, so we got a good neutral red
very
wine.
nice. Wow.
Absolutely. So we got reds and whites from them.
Cool.
And we're using reds on this one.
Cool.
And those two fruit flavor, that profile, it almost drinks more like a super jammy Pinot.
I can hardly wait to taste that.
Right?
Sounds like you and Grant are a nice 1-2 punch. Like, you know beer, you know marketing, you've been around the block, and so has he, and you guys come together and really do something pretty special here.
Absolutely.
Plus, like, I've read the online reviews for you guys,
Yes.
right? I haven't been there, but people say the tasting room is just like coming into a friend's house, right? You feel comfortable right off the bat, and it's just a good hang.
Absolutely, and that was the big factor too, because it is this industry. Luckily being on the very front and seeing a lot of the hybrid stuff, and I've visited. I wish I would have written down how many breweries I've been to,
Right.
but it is what it is. But that's what it came down to. Is I wanted a place that I would like to just go and chill out and be comfortable and hang out for a while. And
Well, and that's definitely the vibe that Papa Marce's has. Like, you get in there and it's just, it feels like you're going to your friend's house. You're going to your friend's house, you're having a beer, everyone's chatting with each other, like whether you know them or not, everybody was
Absolutely.
talking. And then your guys' neighbors, Ruler, are really wonderful too.
Absolutely.
And it seems like you guys have a good relationship of like, go next door and then come here. And
100%. That's literally like a daily thing. People come in and hang out. They're like, "How's next door?" You should probably go next door and give it. Try this beer. Try that beer. I personally like this one. Or whatever they drank at our place, you should try this over there next door. So it's been vice versa.
I
So it's
love
been
that
great.
because any other business out there, if you had two of the same thing that were next to each other, it'd be like, oh no, you don't want to go over there. Like they
Putting
do
up a
this.
wall.
Yeah.
Well, we like the guys from Ruler as well. They're cool people. And they
Yeah,
make good
Raleigh's a
beer
great
as well.
guy.
Raleigh is awesome.
Raleigh and
Absolutely.
Liz, wonderful and
Yes.
Oh
nice
yeah.
people.
Oh yeah. And,
Awesome.
And Liz actually jumped in and did a little help with us on that resilience. So.
Oh, nice. See, one big community.
Of
So
course.
if you could tell the San Diego beer drinkers who have never been to Papa Marce's, what would you tell them that they've got to come in and experience?
Besides the vibe, I think you got to come in and experience kind of where we're going with our program, i.e. the sours. Everything else has been pretty much true to style that we're making. It's just almost like an all-encompassing. Just come in for it all.
That's awesome.
Good beer, good vibe.
Good beer, good
I
vibe.
can tell you have that SoCal, like, positive, good vibe
That's-
already. Plus, you got the shaka going on like your stickers and everything.
See, I had to do a head nod. Growing up in Solana Beach, there's not enough of us born and raised here,
Right.
and it's that was in me. That surf culture and hanging out and just being chill and having a good time, So
I feel so out of place next to two native San Diegans. Well, you know.
you got the
It's been 11
vibe.
years,
Come on.
so whatever. Awesome. Well, Mark, thank you so much for making time to come
Thank
down here.
you.
I know that the drive down from Carlsbad is not always super spectacular. But
But at least we had some sun today, so it was all right.
Exactly. No rain. Paul, thank you so much, buddy.
Thanks for
Super duper
inviting me here.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Good meeting you.
Good meeting you
Great
guys.
Yes.
Thank you.
And Friday morning, Paul is going to come in on the Moog Show at 9:20, and he's going to tell the Moog Show as well as you what you should be drinking this week. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be Papa Marce's. So get ready for a great beer for breakfast. And if for some bizarre reason you've missed any of the previous episodes, you can find them all at 91x.com. So thank you so much, and cheers to independent craft beer.
Cheers.
Salud.
91X.